In this video, we're going to explore the full yogic breath, which basically teaches you how to breathe using all three physiological aspects of the breath. And these three aspects are the diaphragm, the lower lungs and the middle region of the lungs, and the upper region of the lungs, so the chest and the collarbone area. When we learn how to breathe in this full, complete way, we activate some soothing nerve receptors located in the lower lobes of the lungs, and we also release tension and tightness around the diaphragm area. When the solar plexus is free and expansive, we have more confidence in ourselves and exuberance and expansiveness in our lives. We also benefit from the three-part breath mentally and emotionally. It provides stability and calmness and clarity to the mind. So it's really important to learn how to breathe in this full, complete way, in this complete physiological way, so that we can truly increase the amount of prana we receive through our breath and how we then approach our lives in general. If you want to increase the oxygenation of the blood, full, long, deep breathing can be a really effective way to do this. It also helps to remove any stagnancy in the lungs and remove toxins from the bloodstream. And when you've practiced this style of breathing enough, it becomes second nature, just like it was when we were born as babies. We were designed to use these three different mechanisms of the breath, but over time and due to stress and experiences in our lives, our breath can become constricted and a lot more shallow, concentrated in the upper lobes of the lungs in the chest, which is more of a stressed response in terms of our nervous system's approach to breathing. So let's start by lying down on your back. It's nice to do it on a yoga mat, but you can do it anywhere, such as your bed. Just allow the feet to fall open slightly wider than the hips and have your arms alongside your body, the palms facing up, just to begin to relax. And close your eyes and redirect your attention inwards and allow it to settle on the anchor point of your breath. Initially breathing in and out through your nose and just observing your breath without trying to change it. Once you feel grounded and present, you can take your fingers to the diaphragm area, which is just on your belly, and just allow the fingers to rest gently here. We're just going to take a couple of breaths exploring this diaphragm muscle. So as you inhale, see if you can consciously draw the diaphragm down so that the belly expands. And as you breathe out, the diaphragm muscle draws up to release the breath. And you'll notice that the belly releases towards the spine. So as you breathe in, diaphragm pushes down, belly expands. As you breathe out, belly falls as the diaphragm draws upwards. And just play with this mechanism for a few breaths, just to connect to this sometimes ignored muscle of the body. And really squeeze the breath out to sense that movement of the diaphragmatic muscle. And the diaphragm is like an oval-shaped muscle that rests just below the rib cage. So this will be the first area of the breath that we connect with. And then as we move up, we start to connect with the ribs and the collarbone. So Let's begin by keeping your hands on your belly to begin. We'll take an in-breath, expand the belly, and then release the breath slowly. And now let's move the fingers to your rib cage. So just resting the length of the fingers over the tops of the ribs, just resting them gently there. And this time as you breathe in, we're going to expand the ribs after we draw down the diaphragm. So we breathe in, guide the breath up into the ribs, so you're expanding sideways and upways, and also if you can feel the back of your ribs pressing gently into the floor beneath you. The ribs are three-dimensional, so we want to really fill that rib cavity with breath. Feel that space in between the ribs as they expand the lungs, and then exhale when ready, release through the belly first, so drawing the diaphragm up and then releasing the ribs. Don't be put off if this feels a bit tricky at first. It does take practice and patience, as does every yoga posture. So breathing in, expand the belly, diaphragm presses down. Draw the breath up into the lungs, expanding through each of the ribs in all directions. And this time as you exhale, press the diaphragm, draw it up to release the belly down, and then release the ribs. So everything feels contracted towards the spine. Now place your fingertips just underneath the collarbones. This is the third part of the breath. So we're going to breathe into the belly, the ribs, and then take another sip of air all the way up into the upper lungs, expanding through the collarbones and the upper chest. Pause at the top, and then we're going to reverse this cycle, but still start with the diaphragm. So exhale, the diaphragm contracts up, squeeze the air out of the lower middle lungs, and then finally release the upper lungs, the collarbone area. See if you can do this as one smooth breath. So we inhale through the diaphragm, all the lungs, up to the collarbones, pause at the top, and then release the diaphragm, the lungs, the upper lungs, and the collarbones. Once more, inhale, belly rises. Rib cage expands in all directions. One more sip at the top. Pause. Release the belly, the lungs, and the upper chest. Let's add a count to this breath. So we're going to count to 4 when we inhale via the belly and the diaphragm. Another 2 counts in the lower middle lungs, and then 1 more count at the very top to increase the breath all the way to the collarbone area. And then as we exhale, we're going to reverse this by exhaling 4 counts from the diaphragm, 2 counts from the lower middle lungs, and the last final count, the upper chest. Let's begin. You can have your hands wherever feels comfortable. Sometimes it can be nice to have one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly, so that you can connect with all 3 parts of this breath. So inhale, belly rises, diaphragm presses down. Guide the breath into the lower lungs and the middle lungs. Rib cage expands. Count of 2. 1 more count. Inhale up into the collarbones. Pause at the top. And then release the diaphragm for 4 counts. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through the lungs. 1, 2, collarbone. 1. Complete empty breath. Again, inhale for 4, belly rises. 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue up into the lungs. 5, 6. Up into the collarbone. 7. Hold at the top. And release, diaphragm. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release the lungs. 5, 6. Finally, the collarbones. 1. Pause at the bottom of the breath. I'm going to count and you can breathe. Ready? Inhaling. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move to the lungs. 5, 6. Sip in again. 7. Hold. Release, diaphragm. 1, 2, 3, 4. The lungs. 5, 6. Finally, the collarbones. 7. And pause at the bottom of the breath. See if you can take 2 more rounds on your own. Breathing in and out through your nose. You may like to invite a slight constriction at the base of the throat to activate Ujjayi. And following the flow of the breath with your awareness in your third eye, visualizing the breath entering and leaving your body. With every breath, oxygenating your blood and extracting prana, that vital life essence from the breath, to invigorate your being. So that's the 3-part breath. You can come to release the hands again by the sides of your body and just relax for a few moments here in Shavasana, allowing your body to integrate that beautiful breathing. Notice how you feel. And then we'll roll over onto our right side, keeping a soft gaze and slow breath. Then use your hand to press into the floor next to you to come back up into an upright position. Cross the legs. Again, placing right hand on your belly, left hand on your heart, close your eyes, sit up nice and tall through your spine. Once you've mastered this breath lying down, you can start to practice it in this seated position. So let's give it a try now. Closing the eyes, inhale, allow your belly to expand as you lower the diaphragm. Draw it up into the rib cage, expanding through the lower middle lungs. Take another sip in, lift the collarbones, expand the upper chest. Pause at the top, and then release the diaphragm, the belly, lower middle lungs, and finally the very upper chest. Pause at the bottom of the breath. One more on your own. Inhaling for 4 as you expand the belly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Move it up into the lungs. 5, 6. One more sip at the top. 7. Pause. Exhale. Belly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release the lungs. 6. And finally exhale that last little thread by releasing the collarbones for 7. Pause. Release the hands onto the knees. Gently touch the thumb and the first finger together. Sit up nice and tall, crown of the head Extends upwards towards the sky, sitting bones grounded and spine elongated. Inner gaze at the space between your brows, the third eye. Staying for a moment of silence in your body. Release control over your breath. Namaste.